Memphis is the home of the blues, rock and roll, and Earle Farrell.
From the Collierville Square to the mighty Mississippi, the Earle Farrell for Memphis show is all about good things that happen across the Bluff City and the people who make Memphis cool.
The Earle Farrell for Memphis show is made possible by our title sponsor, Southern Security Federal Credit Union, and by Kathy Thurman Edwards, State Farm Insurance.
By Dive Shop and Dive Ventures nationwide. Jim Karras Chevrolet with George Gully. Napa Cafe Memphis and Glenda Hastings. For Memphis Magazine. The Live at the Garden Concert Series. And the Orpheum Theater Group Memphis. And by Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, family owned and operated for more than 40 years. Thank you to all the sponsors for making this possible.
And now, coming to you from Lansky Brothers, Clothier to the King, inside the world-famous Peabody Hotel, with the heart of a cowboy and Memphis in his soul. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Earle Farrell.
And thank you very much, and welcome to the world-famous Peabody Hotel, all decorated for Christmas. That's the main lobby, and that is a 33-foot-tall Christmas tree, all adorned, and you see the garland on the railing around the mezzanine level. And this is a wonderful place to come and visit. And somebody that came to visit today, well, actually about 1,000 people came today with the big chamber meeting they had in the grand ballroom, was Bill Dunavant, who's my guest today, and my only guest today, because we got a lot to talk about. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be with you.
You know, when we brought this show downtown to Lansky's, and we told everybody what we're doing, we wanted to be about positive things in Memphis. And everybody we talked to, without question, was that you got to have Bill Dunavant on. He's the most positive person about Memphis you'll meet. And I said, well, let's start working on it. You know, it took us 8 months to get you on, but we're glad to have you. Let's talk a little bit about just your background. So we know, everybody else will know, because I know, that when you say there are incredible things happening now in Memphis and going to happen, where does that come from? You've lived all over the world. You've done business all over the world. And yet you love Memphis. You know, all these other people that said, they go, boy, if I could get out of here, I'd get out of here. Don't leave yet, is what I would say to them. And that's what you're telling everybody as well.
Right.
But your dad, of course, huge in the cotton business. At one time, the largest cotton business in the world. And you still have that. You have real estate. You have, it's called Dunavant Enterprises. And you're the president, the CEO, and the chairman of the board. And when people started saying, you know, negative things about Memphis, what was it that sparked you into saying, we got to turn this train around from a negative train to a positive train?
Yes, look, it's a great question, Earl. You're a great Memphian. I consider myself a great Memphian, and there are lots of us in the town that are great Memphians. You know, I look at myself as an oddball because I'm a sixth-generation Memphian, and I've got seventh-generation children and eighth-generation grandchildren. And so our family's deep-rooted here and invested forever, starting with my grandfather down on Front Street with a cotton trading operation he started that my dad grew. I was born and raised here. You know, it's just, to me, Memphians are their worst enemy, and we've got to change that. And I really, truly believe it's changing. And I had the honor of serving as chairman of the Memphis Chamber's Chairman Circle a year before, not this year, but last year. And when you look at the city, I took a step back and I said, you know, if I'm going to lead the chamber, the business community, what do I see, and what are the goals to put this city ahead of where we are? And probably what has evolved for me is we've got to change the narrative for Memphis. There's more good things happening in this city than ever in my lifetime, okay? And that's a big statement for me to make. And, you know, I was just, as you mentioned, at the annual chamber lunch, and they had a big tribute there for Fred Smith. And I sat next to Fred Smith a year ago today.
At that meeting.
At that lunch. And I spoke, and when I sat down, he goes, you're the one that's got to take the narrative. And we all have got to do that. And I think it's changing, and the announcements and the good and the economic development, it's really a movement right now. And it's a movement not just about the city, it's a movement about the region that we live in.
And to give them an idea, there's a slide we have right now, Memphis MSA gross domestic product, and where it was and where it is now, and this is not even including the past year. And you see on your monitor.
Yeah, so you talk about that slide. As a businessman, I look at that, and you look at the lower left corner, top right corner, but you look at the growth in the last 2 or 3 years, and look, this data is always delayed. It's the Federal Reserve data. I'm not saying the government's always late, but sometimes they are. But the 24 numbers are about to come out, and so we crossed the $100 billion line in 23, and we're actually at $103 billion. As a reference, Nashville, as an example, is at about $200 billion. But when you look at the growth, before XAI, before Ford, before all these coming, we're starting to see growth in this part of the region that we've never seen before.
And the potential, which I was talking to somebody yesterday, they're trying to revive Memphis in May, and they were mentioned today, the new honored country for next year is Ireland.
Right.
But with the change in Tom Lee and Memphis in May not doing the barbecue down there and some other things, and what they're trying to do is save the brand and basically start all over again with Memphis in May. And I said, well, you got to do the same thing that happened with Memphis in May in the beginning, is get young people involved in it that have a vision, believe in it, and because you guys are all my age now, and it's like when you did what you did for the Live at the Garden and coming up with their 5-year plan, you were, 30 years old?
Yep.
And that was about the age of Rodney Baber and Lyman Aldridge and Tom Hutton when they put together the Memphis in May. Then it was young people that drove it, but it was also, because I talked to a young person yesterday who does barbecue contests. He's 34, my son's best friend, goes around the country. I said, were you ever in Memphis in May? He said, well, I worked down there during the event, but I couldn't afford to. All of us were young. We couldn't afford $10,000 for the smallest little tent.
Yep.
And I said, I think maybe what you should do to reinvent Memphis in May is make it affordable for young people to be in it, not just corporations, and have the youth division or whatever you want to call it, but get them involved again. I still think it should be downtown and go on the north end of Mud Island. Because you still see the city skyscraper and all that in the shop. The river's there. The river's the main thing about Memphis.
Absolutely. And history, why was Memphis created?
The river.
Why was it the river? It was a logistics hub. Why was it a logistics hub? Because that's how they moved raw cotton before there was roads and rail. And so we're a river city for whatever. And you play on your strength. And in history, Memphis has been dealt some tough blows history-wise. The yellow fever epidemic twice. The yellow fever epidemic, the assassination of Dr. King. We really didn't want either one of those events to happen. The city, they materially affected it.
Before the yellow fever epidemic, Memphis is actually larger than Atlanta.
Much larger, and a great trading hub and a logistics hub, and we never lost that. We are America's supply chain distribution capital.
Well, it is the hub, and which is one reason Fred Smith came here, because it was the center of the country. You could get in and out of here, and we wanted him so much. They said, "What do we have to do to get you?" And that was why he came to Memphis. Little Rock said, "Nah, we don't think you're any kind of a big deal at all."
Right.
And this is another vision or image: population growth in Tennessee by county. You pointed this out. You think everything is happening in Nashville, and if you go to Nashville now, traffic is just awful. Everything's very expensive, and you're saying where the real growth is going to be in the future is in West Tennessee.
So actually, I was with Fred Smith and Pitt Hyde. We were at a conference at Blackberry Farm, and the University of Tennessee put this slide up, and I looked at it, and I immediately saw what was wrong with the slide. Obviously, if you want to be negative in Memphis, you say there's no growth in West Tennessee. Well, what you're not seeing by that slide, what is the fastest growing part of the state of Mississippi?
North Mississippi.
What is the third largest city in Mississippi?
South Haven.
And Olive Branch is about to take that over. Olive Branch is the fifth largest city. So we are a victim, Earle, of two state borders, Mississippi and Arkansas. I don't look at it that way. I look at literally South Haven, Olive Branch, West Memphis, Marion, All of this is the same. We're all focused on Memphis.
And we're in the hub of that.
We're the epicenter.
Yeah.
You don't fly out of the Marion, Arkansas airport. You don't go to the Brooks Museum in Galloway, Tennessee. You come to Memphis. You don't go see the Collierville Grizzlies play. You see the Memphis Grizzlies. And so we are. And we've got to recognize we're better as a region than fighting each other. And that is truly happening. So the graph you just showed, to me, is not a challenge. It's an opportunity. But opportunities are workforce development. With Ford Blue Oval coming, with all of these businesses coming to Memphis, XAI and Amplify Cell Technology, Google across the river, Silver Hills Bakery in Rossville, Tennessee, all of this is workforce development and jobs. And when you look at the population growth, especially in Northwest Tennessee not happening, those are opportunities for businesses to come to our area. The one thing I'll say about Northwest Tennessee, it's right on the Mississippi River. The key to development is water, and we have more water than any place on earth sitting under Memphis, Tennessee. But two, if you're going to develop, you've got to move wastewater. You've got to waste sewers, and that goes to the Mississippi River. And Northwest Tennessee borders the Mississippi River.
Well, it is also where everything's going to look what's happening. You mentioned Google coming to West Memphis. In fact, the person with Google was at the luncheon today.
Yep.
And was talking about why they came here. And then you got Elon Musk with AXI. That's it. I don't think most average Memphians, and I keep talking about it, did on my radio show, and I do now, I don't think they realize the impact that is having on this community.
It's blowing us up with positives. And, when they talked at the chamber meeting today, the term the digital delta was coined by Fred Smith.
Really?
He said, I run the largest technology company. I just happen to deliver packages. Because if you think about FedEx and what they do and the amount of technology it takes to run that company, and here we are in Memphis, Tennessee now, growing as the digital delta with Google in West Memphis, with XAI here in Memphis, the largest investment in the state of Tennessee history. If you go down the road to Jackson, Mississippi, guess who's there? That's Amazon. Mm-hmm. $10 billion by Amazon. So, Earl, you put these things together, it starts making sense, right?
Absolutely. And you were talking about the meeting recently with 30 mayors between Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. And who would have ever thought that would happen? I just remember covering the legislature in Nashville, and I would talk to other senators from other parts of the state, and they said, Earl, we really don't look at Memphis as being part of Tennessee. We think of it more as part of Mississippi, Arkansas, and Memphis. And that's how they really looked at it. And I think that's why this is pure genius to say, okay, then look at it this way. We've created our own energy and an affiliation with all the people around us, and let's start selling it that way. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's, what you're referencing is the Mid-South Development District, where we are working as a community to pull all of the surrounding areas, those that are in the MSA. We're 9 counties in the MSA, the Metropolitan Statistical Area. But in the 2030 census, my belief is we're going to go from a 9-county region to probably a 15-county region. And it's really important that we do that from a federal dollars perspective, from education dollars perspective. We're growing. We're $1.33 million right now. With Ford Blue Oval coming, we're probably going to be $1.5 million very shortly.
Here, I have an image of that as well. Memphis, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, in the MSA. And those are the 9 counties right there. But you say the potential expanding on that is
if you look to the right side, it astounded me when I started looking at this when I was chairman of the chamber. There were only 3 counties in Tennessee and 5 in Mississippi, and we're Memphis. Well, Hardeman, Hayward, and Lauderdale with Ford Blue Oval, there's no question they're going to come into the MSA. We can pick up Panola County. You look at I-55 corridor and how important that is. But the growth in Arkansas, we will pick up those counties as well.
Here's what you're talking about now. Highway Interstate 69 is going to be the north-south highway on the east side of the river, as well as 55 on the west side of the river.
So you couple that with America's Distribution Center, with our airport, with our river, with 5 of the 6 Class 1 rails in Memphis. Then you look at the roads. I-40 is the third most traffic corridor in America. It comes right through the middle of Memphis, Tennessee. I-55 from New Orleans all the way to Chicago on the west side. I-69, Tennessee Department of Transportation let the contract to go ahead and pull I-69 from the Kentucky border to Dyersburg. And, oh, by the way, it goes back to that slide that you just showed on West Tennessee and the stagnant growth in West Tennessee. Well, you put a federal highway on the east side of the river coming to America's distribution capital, you can't make up the growth in the next 30 years for our city. You know, by the way, I-22 coming up from Atlanta and Birmingham as well. So I guess what you and I are talking about is the pieces to the puzzle. They're on the table that all of a sudden the puzzle's accelerating, and accelerating for Memphis, accelerating for the region.
You mentioned in one of the videos I watched you on a podcast that parents have got to take a lead in this because we're all in this together. And to make Memphis better, we got to start talking about the positive things instead of at the dinner table talking about, well, did you watch the news tonight and see what happened today? Crime is everywhere in the United States, and they're taking care of that. I mean, the task force that's in Memphis now, we all see the difference in travel on our roads and highways. They've given thousands of tickets, and it's working. They've also arrested, I think, about 3,000 people and got them off the streets. And that's, 20% of the crimes committed by...
80% of the criminals.
Yep.
And 20% of the criminals create 80% of the crime.
Same people over and over again.
Over and over. And, you know, again, I come back to the sixth generation Memphian. And as a business leader, aren't 1.33 million people smarter than 2,000 people, criminals, controlling a narrative for our city? I'm tired of it. I think the African-American community is tired of it. And at the end of the day, you know, I've spoke to a group of African-American and Hispanic preachers, and I was pretty simple with it. And the comment was this: if the Safe Crime Task Force, as a parent, takes two parents coming to your church to plan a funeral for a gunshot victim, if that doesn't happen because the Safe Crime Task Force stops it, is that not a win? 115 missing children are discovered. That's 230 parents that are really, really happy that
they're here.
They're here, and they're making it safe.
And
they're making an impact. And that's, to me, another piece to that puzzle that comes in as a big piece, but I want that to be a real small piece that we don't worry about.
Well, and just seeing people, and we're talking about it, everybody's talking about it. So have you noticed how the traffic is on the interstate? They're all driving at the same speed. There's nobody cutting through across the line for the most part. I did have a guy pass me yesterday as I was going down to South Haven. And
I hope it wasn't me.
No, I don't think it was, but whoever it was, after they passed me, they flipped me off. And I went, I'm in the middle lane. I stay in the middle lane. I couldn't have done anything to this guy. But you just let those people go. Don't interject anything. Don't chase them. Just let them go. Let them flip you off and just let them go.
Yep.
But I'm not seeing near as much of that it was happening before on the streets and on the interstates. I think the other positive thing here is something that's always been, is the new people that move here and the people that come in to Lansky's and stay at the Peabody. They come in here and we say, how's your trip? I say, we love Memphis.
Sure.
I grew up in Texas. I moved here in 1978 from Dallas. I loved it the minute I got here because it was so different from Dallas. People here will tell you exactly what they think.
Oh, yeah.
And if they like you, they like you. If they don't like you, they don't hang around you.
That's right.
Let's make it real clear.
That's right.
And that in the food and all the things like the Peabody, the Orpheum, the museums. I mean, think of the museums that we have here that other bigger cities don't have. I mean, this is a world-class city.
It's world-class. You look at the museums, you look at the... God bless Pitt Hyde for taking the civil rights, the Lorraine Motel, and turning it into a world-class civil rights museum that attracts people from all over the globe. You look at the Brooks Museum moving, that's going to be the Memphis Museum of Art, $200 million signature, going to be a globally recognized building because of the way it's built. You know, we just have so much going on in Memphis, and people don't give ourselves credit for it.
Well, I think we should launch a campaign to go visit each one of the TV stations and say, we need you on board with this, you know? make a segment, make the first segment. In fact, I was talking to the assistant chief of the sheriff's department, Anthony Buckner, and he was saying that they've been noticing on the news that they're moving the shooting, death, stabbings up to the second segment instead of starting at the first and doing positive things about Memphis in the first segment, which I think is a huge improvement.
Huge improvement. But that comes with holding people accountable.
Absolutely.
Get them off the streets.
We've got a video I want everybody to see that Bill put together. We're going to take a quick break and listen to our sponsors who are proud to sponsor this show because it is helping project the right image for Memphis. Listen to them. We'll come back and we'll show you the video. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Dawn Grader, President and CEO of Southern Security Federal Credit Union. We're the proud title sponsor of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show. Coming to you live from Lansky's in the world-famous Peabody Hotel and celebrating all of the great things about our great city, Memphis, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm so proud to be part of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show, streaming live from Lansky's from the Peabody. We will be showcasing not only Napa Cafe, but some great restaurants around town. We look forward to seeing you.
Hello, Memphis Mid-South. And first, I'd like to thank you for visiting with Earle Farrell Memphis today, and we want to support him just like you do. I'm George Gully, one of the sales managers at Jim Carey Chevrolet. We've been in business here in Memphis for over 75 years. I've been associated with the company for almost 25, and I'll help you find the right car, truck, or SUV here at not only our Chevy store, but also Buick, GMC, Nissan, Subaru. We can help you find that right car. Keep watching, Earl, and come see me. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Kathy Thurman Edwards, State Farm, and I'm so excited to be one of the sponsors for the Earle Farrell from Memphis show, broadcasting live from Lansky's at the Peabody. And I'll tell you all about what we've got going on at our office. Gift cards for quotes. No purchase necessary. I'm better looking than a lizard.
Hi, this is Randy Wright from the Dive Shop and Dive Ventures in Memphis. We've been in Memphis over 64 years teaching people to dive, snorkel, and swim. We'd love to have you come join us and have some fun. We're also a part of the Dive Ventures group with 18 locations across the country, stretched from Phoenix to Vienna, Virginia. Please give us a call. We'll be able to take care of you at 999 South Yates in Memphis, or call us at 901-763-DIVE.
Hi, I'm Brett Batterson, President and CEO of the Orpheum Theater Group in downtown Memphis. We are so pleased with our partnership with the Earle Farrell Show and very happy that he is broadcasting live from Lansky's at the historic Peabody Hotel. We're all here to make Memphis better.
Hi, I'm Mitch Wright. And I'm his son, Mickey. And we're the owners of Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
And proud sponsors of the Earle Farrell from Memphis show.
We're thankful to be part of the Memphis community. We've been in business for 42 years, taking care of people and loving the people of the Mid-South.
And welcome back to Lansky's here at the Peabody Hotel with Bill Dunavant. Thank you for being here, Bill. And I know that we touched on it before we got on the air, and I thought we talked about it on the air, but my wife just said, no, you didn't. I want to just touch on, there's a huge area where the two bus stations used to be, right here on Union, just east of our location here at Lansky's. And then they tore all those buildings down, and there's this huge project that was in the works. And because of COVID, you just told me that kind of put the stall on it. But there's another plan to build an underground iCloud underground, and then all that whole development they were planning for could go on top of that.
Yeah, so, if you think about the pieces to the puzzle again, and one of the things the Chamber said, Duncan Williams said, his focus is the chairman this year, is this city needs to understand a vibrant downtown makes a city. And we've got the pieces to the puzzle with the Grizzlies where they are, the potential to redo Beale Street, the potential for the MLG&W building at some point, which is becoming obsolete, to come down to connect the Orpheum all the way to the FedEx Forum. You look at UT Med, their ask to the University of Tennessee system this year is about $340 million to build a cutting-edge 300,000 or 400,000 square foot building right there in the medical district. Then you got Regional 1 potentially coming into the commercial appeals site. And then you've got what you're referencing is called the Walk. And unfortunately, those developers got clipped by COVID, and COVID did a lot of damage to a lot of different places, including downtown Memphis, just people not coming downtown. It was announced at the Chamber there's a development group coming out of Texas that has a cutting-edge operation to do a multi-family or multi-planned development with hotels, with residential, with retail, with green space. And there's a major cloud computing component to that actually, hopefully, we can get Memphis businesses to support that group, keeping their cloud information right here underneath downtown. But Earl, the big deal is, again, the pieces to the puzzle. Now you've got it will be the biggest development ever in downtown Memphis history. Now, are there lots of pieces to that puzzle to put together? Absolutely. I'm not qualified on that, but am I excited about it? I'm incredibly excited about that. I'm incredibly excited about, the convention center hotel. Now, whether they take it down and build a new one or whether they rehab the old one, we've got to have a big convention center
world
hotel.
Class.
It's got to be world class, and that's the challenge. The other one I will say, we have an obsolete 201 Poplar, our jail, and it goes back to the bad guys. I don't particularly want the bad guys to have an address downtown. I think we need to move it, and I don't know where. I'm not going to get into that, but you don't need you're not going to be a world-class city with a jail in the middle of it.
Well, and believe me, I know. I was a spokesperson for the sheriff's office and was down at 201. My office was there. And before that, as a reporter, I was standing outside 201 doing live shots in the morning as all these people were getting out of jail. And where do they get out of jail? In downtown Memphis.
Yeah.
And so the first thing they do is start hitting people up for money wherever they see them going to work.
Well, I just told you many, many different pieces for downtown. You've got Tom Lee Park. What an incredible asset. A bike trail over the Mississippi River. Thank you, Charlie McVeigh, for getting that done. The bike trails across the river. You got the Memphis Grizzlies in the FedEx Forum, and that's going to be redone as well. You have these enormous pieces to our puzzle that start putting it together, and it's painting a very interesting, pretty picture.
We got another image. This is of the new bridge.
Yes.
And what it will look like, which is pretty impressive. And so, because the old bridge is the old bridge, and they don't call it that because it's anything but an old bridge.
It is.
And this will be much better built, wider for larger barges to come down the river on. But it's also moving people in and out of Memphis. You got the river, you got trains, you got the airport is the second largest cargo airport in the world.
Yep.
Because of FedEx.
Yep.
And all roads are now leading to Memphis.
Literally and figuratively. And there's been so much discussion. Third bridge over Memphis, whatever, and Tennessee Department of Transportation. And when I was chairman of the chamber, because one of our divisions is in logistics. Memphis is America's distribution center, and you just referenced the airport. We are, from a rail standpoint, we are the third largest user of Class 1 rails. We have over 3 million containers coming from the East Coast, West Coast into Memphis. And in Memphis, what do they do? And that's why Nike's here. That's why Williams-Sonoma's here. That's why Milwaukee Tools is here. Sharp Television is here. Because they bring those containers into Memphis, and then we distribute them out. The easiest sell when we went to Washington to talk about that bridge to the Federal Highway Administrator was that fact. Memphis takes 3 million containers. That's 6 million truck trips from the East Coast, West Coast on Federal Highway. That's wear and tear. That's carbon footprint. That's fuel. And, oh, by the way, it's a lot safer to put it on rail than put it on cars. So the sell for the new bridge, which was not the old bridge, is not seismically correct. So if there's an earthquake, it falls in the river, and that disrupts the world. To have $1 billion, a $400 million investment by the federal government, the largest federal government investment in Tennessee state history, is happening in Memphis, Tennessee with that bridge. And it's a game changer. Believe it or not, the truck traffic coming across the two bridges, there's more on the old bridge than the new bridge.
Really?
Because it's going to 60 million square feet of distribution space in North Mississippi.
And the old bridge is the one that gets you there.
And that's the one that gets you there. So now we're going to have a signature, iconic bridge that's going to be lit up better than that Christmas tree in the lobby.
Which you said this could be, 400 feet high?
Yeah, so I told you the comparison. The main pier is going. So the Brooklyn Bridge is 220 feet from the water to the top. The Bay Bridge in San Francisco is 320 feet from the water to the top. 420. The new bridge, I'm sorry, is going to be 430 feet. Astronomically tall. It's going to tower downtown Memphis. It's going to be a bookend to Memphis. It's going to frame our city in a very, very positive way.
You also produced a video, and you said the chamber wanted to do it and pay for it, and you said, no, I'm going to do it because if anybody gets blamed for a bad one, you can blame me and fire me because I got other jobs.
That's right.
Set this up for us.
Yeah, so when I was doing the Why Memphis, getting ready for the chamber, trying to think about how to change the narrative in Memphis and make Memphians believe in Memphis. Okay, that's Why Memphis. And Why Memphis is what I've been going around talking about, highlighting all the good in Memphis. And a lot of people walk away and say, well, I didn't know that. Well, why didn't you know that? You're not paying attention. You're not listening. So I decided, another harebrained idea of mine, maybe I'll focus on one of our positives. We sit on the greatest aquifer on earth. It's a big statement to make, but it's true. We have over 100 trillion gallons of water underneath us, Earle, as we sit. The Mallory pumping plant down the street pumps water every day, 250 million gallons out of the aquifer. It carbon dates 1,500 years old, and it's recharged every day by the Mississippi River and the Memphis sands. And so I chose water because I want Memphians to understand and educate. So when the people watch this, I want it to educate. I want it to be fun. I want it to be informative. I want people to be proud of what we have in our city, under our city. But again, the sensitivity of it is, I'm the biggest environmentalist on earth. I 100% want to protect our aquifer because it is a precious asset that's reoccurring every single day. It's why is this Mississippi River, and it's why we have so much agriculture in the Mississippi River Basin because of water.
Because the water brought rich soil with it, deposited on both sides of the river, and it replenishes all the natural things that help things grow. And it's a very rich area. And so go ahead and roll the video, Rob.
Why is that beer so tasty?
The water that we have here, because it's so mineral free, is absolutely perfect for these types of beers. It starts with the water.
Memphis has the purest, cleanest drinking water in the country, maybe the world.
We're one of the largest cities in the world that gets its water from an artesian well.
On a peak day, MLGW can pump more than 250 million gallons of water to approximately 255,000 customers.
But our aquifer is estimated to be more than 100 trillion gallons of water.
That's about 160 billion Olympic-sized swimming pools.
I have no idea how many bowls of grits that is.
To envision how much water that is, if we built a huge wall around Shelby County and brought the water to the surface, it would be enough water to go to the top of the Clark Tower.
This great water supply actually requires minimal treatment straight from the ground.
Memphis is truly blessed.
And we pay less for our water than about half the country.
If they gave out medals, we would win the H2 Olympics.
I guess it just makes us cooler.
I guess it does, little man. I guess it does.
Very good.
Education, positive, facts, fun. Why aren't we doing that for our school kids? Why aren't we teaching kids in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade the positives of our community? It gives them hope. It gives them opportunity.
Years ago, I was director of development for the Orpheum Theater, Pat Halloran, and the school kids every year bring hundreds of buses to the Orpheum Theater to take a tour of that and learn about that. Watching those kids walk in there and seeing the incredible building that is there, and knowing that's probably the coolest place they'd ever been in their lives up until that point, and then knowing it's part of Memphis, and they'll never forget that trip there. And I think everybody goes to the Orpheum today and sees these great Broadway shows that come from New York. it's just another reason. It's not just about money-making opportunities. It's the culture here.
It's a culture. You're right. And, you know, whether it's the new Brooks Museum, whether it's the Orpheum, look at our park system. $80 million to redo Tom Lee Park, and now they're doing a cantilever porch over the river. Look at the redevelopment of Shelby Farms and what happened there to build that new lake, to build the FedEx Event Center, to put those bike trails in. It's the largest urban park in America, and it's right here in Memphis, and we take it for granted. You talked about the Botanic Garden. Look at the redevelopment of the golf course at Audubon Park, the Leftwich Tennis Center, a brand new, my dad owned the racket club. He was more proud that Bill Leftwich was going to be re-honored again, Colonel Bill Leftwich, with that incredible asset for our city, for our youth, for everybody. Rebuilt the Overton Park golf course. Our park system, culture, parks, sports, it all makes the fabric of a great city.
And the cost of living here is lower than most of the big cities in this country.
Huge selling point. You mentioned Nashville and their growth, and they're stripping themselves into a category that is not going to be pleasant when it comes to commute times and all that. I don't want to talk bad about Nashville because I'm proud of them. I'm proud of Chattanooga. I'm proud of Knoxville. I'm proud of the Memphis region. And that's where all of us, instead of throwing darts, we ought to be giving kudos for others, because the more you talk nice about other people, guess what's going to happen? They're going to end up talking nice about us.
Which is what I always tell people. And they say something kind of disparaging about somebody else, and I will always come with, they always speak so highly of you.
Right.
And they go, oh, well, I really like them too. Some advice for people that do want to get on this bandwagon. How do they do it?
So if you look at Memphis, this is a really interesting statistic. On a per capita basis, Memphis is one of the most philanthropic cities in America. So it's one thing to be a Fred Smith or a Pitt Hyde or an Abe Plow and give money back. Just give your time. I mean, my wife volunteers for a program called Arise to Read. She takes 2 hours out of her week to go read to 2 Memphis Shelby County school kids. Now, you think about that and a multiplier effect. If 100,000 Memphians did that, that's 200,000 hours of reading a week to school kids. You don't have to give money. If you want to make a difference, volunteer for something. Go volunteer to be on the Botanic Garden board. Go volunteer at the Brooks Museum. Go to the Civil Rights Museum. Go volunteer for a school. Junior Achievement, one of the great organizations in the city, and their growth with what they're doing in schools and how many kids that they're servicing throughout the region, again, is nothing short of astounding. You know, just get involved. If you want to sit and throw darts at our city, we got a lot of flights you can get out of Memphis and leave, okay?
Yes. You
don't need to do that. Stop watching the news channels if you don't want bad news. Stop watching it, because you're making the TVs more valuable by watching bad news. Encourage people to talk positive about our city, because there is so much good going on. If you just take a step back, crime is much better. It's much better across the country, but it's much, much better in Memphis, and that's a big issue. Economic development right now, Chamber just said in 25, the region had $23 billion of investment on top of $14 billion last year. When those regional GDP numbers come out in 2 or 3 years from now, I think people are going to be astounded by what's happening. And you know, I named that presentation, Why Memphis? And that was almost 3 years ago. And the why Memphis question is getting answered in an incredible way that all of us are going to benefit from. And, you know, at my age, to see this for my kids and my grandkids, and to make other people in this city see and believe, that's what we got to do.
Bill Dunavant, Memphis' biggest head cheerleader, and looking for more volunteers to jump on the wagon. I think you're a huge asset to the community, and we thank you.
Amen.
And
thank you.
Thank you for coming on today.
Absolutely.
That is our show for today. Support Memphis. Cheerlead for Memphis. And we'll see you next time.
Go to the tree for 2 seconds.